Today's one of my favorite ones. I mean, I think you realize that you've changed when you're physically capable of proving it to yourself that you are just not the same person. Thoughts will never do that. Words will never do that. It's always going to be action. There's a difference between vows, verbal commitments, versus active commitments. Commitments exist in action. Vows exist in language. And this one's the perfect story for that. The reversal of interdependence shows itself as destruction in the face of connection. Having a gym right across the street. I'm sorry, I literally live across a gym right now. I'm just realizing this is probably the third time when I live like 20 meters away from a gym. Fuck. Having a gym right across the street doesn't make me put the spoon down. Knowing that this is the second tub of ice cream in a row does not make me put the spoon down. Being fully aware that I'm intolerant to sugar, dairy, processed carbs, starch, and whatever chemicals they dumped into this suspiciously green tub of cheap chocolate mint does not make me put the damn spoon down. The painful realization that I'm only craving that third tub because I'm lonely, sad, anxious, and angry at myself for eating the first two tubs makes me want to glue the fucking spoon to my fingers. Awareness, on its own, doesn't drown out the screaming pain of craving the next dopamine hit. And the next one. And the next one. And the next one. You know, I was so naive. Hello, gorgeous. You know, I was so naive about drugs that when we were in drama school, a friend of mine, she became my best friend. First year, they made up, all of us, we played made up stories. They were not based on any professional writing. And my friend made up a story about glasses, like rose-tinted glasses. I doubt that they were heart-shaped. And it signaled a shift in consciousness, a shift in behavior. And when someone later pointed out to me that, oh, that was about drugs, I'm like, oh, okay. I got introduced to drugs very late in life. Then we became good friends. But I've had an addictive pattern of behavior from a very young age, mostly around food. And I still believe that there is a relationship with the chemical itself, with the substance itself, but there's also a relationship with, today's a funny day, but there's also a relationship with the behavior. So yes, sugar is about just as addictive as cocaine, probably even more so, because it comes with the behavioral addition that we do need food on a daily basis. So I genuinely believe, and base it on my personal experiences as well, that food is the most, or could be the most addictive, not necessarily substance, but behavior. And this is the first time in, I cannot even remember for how long, that when I went through an emotionally heavy period, sorry, I'm choosing words today that are like ambiguous and I'm falling into pieces. When I went through an emotionally very strange time of my life, that's what I mean, then this was the first time in a very long time that I did not crave sugar. Like physically, I'm walking in the supermarket and I'm not just like, I don't want that. My body does not. We are falling apart today. I'm proudly falling apart today. So this was the first time that my body physically did not crave the substance. That doesn't mean that I wasn't craving the behavior, but it palpably shifted something in my psyche as well, that I'm able to prove it to myself. I can start trusting myself again because the behavior itself has changed. And even though the change is incremental, which happens a lot with addiction, it's in the beginning, it's always going to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But those incremental changes really make a difference and they really matter. So today we're just proudly falling apart. This is about interdependence. I recognized it through my friend who put on the play about the rose-tinted glasses that we had the addictive behavior in common, and that's what brought us together. That's what kept us friends for 14 years now. And we had different flavors of addiction, but the same way as we were addicted to food, substances, we were also addicted to a certain type of relationship, and that was codependence. The first stage of any emotionally wounded person's ability to relate to another human being is going to be through codependence. And you can graduate to interdependence when one of you or both of you is just so fed up with a one-sided relationship that you just want out of the relationship. And even though you might partner up with someone or couple up with someone, you will very strictly hold on to your independence. Then the third stage of it is going to be the mutual trust and respect that requires a certain amount of emotional maturity when you graduate the relationship into the stage of interdependence, where both of you, or if you're in a family situation or a group situation, all of you feel like that the role of who's the most mature, the role of who's the caretaker, the role of who knows best is a mutable role. It will always be passed around. It's not the burden of any one individual. The role itself exists on its own, and we all have our personal responsibility to nurture that role as a collective or as a couple. And it's something similar with addiction as well, that when I built a relationship with food, it was based on me feeling like I'm completely powerless, and I wanted something else outside of myself to make me feel a certain way. And when the original dopamine hit ingrains a response, a certain feedback in you, then you're going to flip from one substance to another. You're going to keep the relationship itself, but it doesn't matter what you get addicted to. The outcome is going to be that you're just going to look for something outside of you to make you feel somehow. And that very slowly, very incrementally, completely erodes your ability to trust yourself, the ability to want to face yourself, the willingness to change anything in that relationship with a substance, relationship with a person. Because you will always feel like that you are codependent. And it's very interesting to be codependent with a substance because you are the only one who's responsible, but you take none of the responsibility. You feel none of the power. And looking back at yourself from the outside, you can see that your life is falling apart. You can see that the very reason that you want to keep having this addiction, that's the only thing that's keeping you powerless. And I did do certain things that were just, I was fully aware that I'm doing something so stupid now. It's not like halfway down the second tub of ice cream, I'm like, where did that go? No, I was fully aware of every spoonful. It's not like it's a mystery of how did I get here. No, I was completely aware of every single step that I took. It's the relationship that propelled me to be abusive. I got used to abusive relationships emotionally, but I did not understand that they were abusive. I did not have the definition that this feeling of not feeling good, not feeling whole and complete, not feeling respected, not feeling seen, heard, taken care of, counts as abuse towards someone else or towards yourself. When I don't give myself the time, the space to process emotions, to actually feel what I feel, it does count as emotional abuse. Your body speaks the language of feelings, sensations, emotions. It doesn't speak the language of words. It cannot tell you what it wants in any other way than through making you feel somehow. If you don't want to feel that feeling, it's like literally shoving your hand in someone's face to shut them up again and again and again. If you keep drinking coffee even though you're exhausted, if you keep taking drugs, if you keep smoking, if you keep eating, it doesn't even have to be sugar. Whatever that goes through your system that doesn't feel good, if you actually feel how your body feels, if it makes you cough, if it makes you feel sick, if it makes you feel even more tired, bloated, if it makes you feel disgusted about your own body, first of all, you are physically abusing your body, but you are emotionally abusing yourself as well, because your body is just simply trying to communicate that there is something not okay here. Please listen. I don't have any other ways to tell you other than through pain. I don't know what else to say. I cannot tell you what this is. I'm going to need your help to help me figure out what this pain is, where this is coming from. It's a different state of consciousness. It's like nurturing a child, that the body does not even have the complexity to understand emotions. It can only feel it. It can only experience it. It's always going to be your mental conscious awareness and spiritual who's going to help the body to process. If you're not willing to have an interdependent relationship with your own body, with your own self, then you're pretty much like an abusive parent to your physical child. And it's been a really tough process for me to, like, I never understood what it means like to reparent yourself. I thought that I understand it, but I didn't grasp it until I actually started doing it and started noticing that it only takes effect. Any advice, any wisdom, any tip, trick, technique only takes effect when it shows up in your behavior. When your body's feedback, its signal, its biochemistry is telling you that I have changed. When I'm not craving that sugar anymore. When I don't panic at the thought of an interaction anymore. When things that used to freak me out don't faze me anymore. When past relationships that used to just crumble my stomach don't even bother me anymore. That's when you give yourself the reassurance that you have been a good parent and you have been parented well and that you are safe again. And that safety is the baseline for any other emotional work. Until a solid ground of safety is established, nothing else is going to change because you're just not going to trust yourself. You've probably have cheated yourself, abused yourself, neglected yourself enough times because you've learned it from other people who have mistreated you. But you've done it to yourself enough times that you don't trust your own words, you don't trust your own behavior, you don't trust that you don't even trust that will come from other people. We're way past that. We're down to, can I even trust myself to take care of myself? And there's a whole other problem that obviously we're social beings, so we do want to have a partnership with another being, but you are still the only one who spends 24/7 with you. So you are first and foremost responsible for this one. So when you're not even past the point of trust, then that's the first baseline that you have to establish. Without that, it doesn't matter what you try to shove into your mind or your face, it's just gonna go right through you. Nothing is going to take effect. And then when that slowly and incrementally changes, it's like getting your innocence back. For me, it was like that, or still is. It happens in stages in different areas of my life. And feeling innocent again, it's like pure potential. It's like being newborn. It makes me feel like it's not that I forget what had happened, but all of a sudden it shrinks. It becomes only a tiny segment of my experience. So it feels like instead of being a baby as a newborn, it feels like I've just grown so much. I've outgrown the tiny self that I thought that I was. And I've been reborn into this new version of pure potentiality. If you do have a person, another being that you can or want to build an interdependent relationship with, first of all, that will be always just a million times more powerful than what you can do just by yourself. second, it will probably reflect on everything that you try to hide about how unkind you have been to yourself. It's none of us' problem. We just ping pong it between each other. We've learned it from people who have learned it from their people, and we just keep mimicking each other. But in general, we are really unkind to each other on this planet on so many levels. So it takes a bit of practice to stay kind. There is a genuine kindness in us, but we're not necessarily good at staying that way. So if you can, or if you wish to build an interdependent relationship with someone, go for it, because it's so beautiful when you get to go back to a sense of purity, when all of a sudden all the shameful behavior, when you let yourself down and let others down, all of a sudden it finds a nurturing hand where you get to be honest about why you were behaving the way you were behaving. That's all I had in me for today. 10-10. Somebody please tell me what 10-10 means, because it follows me around for about 6 months now. Anywho, I love you so much. Totally relatable what you're saying. Yeah. Well, I hope so. I try to stay relatable that way. All right. See you tomorrow. I love you so, so much. Tomorrow is agency from your Azure, from your D8, dimension 8. Agency is one of my favorite ones. So see you tomorrow with that one.